The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Happiness lies in the joy of achievement and the thrill of creative effort. The test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those who have much, it is whether we provide enough for those who have too little. The only limit to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today. The virtues are lost in self-interest as rivers are lost in the sea. Men are not prisoners of fate, but only prisoners of their own minds. We cannot always build the future for our youth, but we can build our youth for the future. I ask you to judge me by the enemies I have made. We cannot rid the history of our rise and development as a nation without reckoning with the place the labor unions have won for themselves. True individual freedom cannot exist without economic security and independence. Democracy cannot succeed unless those who express their choice are prepared to choose wisely. The liberty of a democracy is not safe if the people tolerate the growth of private power to a point where it becomes stronger than the democratic state itself. The only sure bulwark of continuing liberty is a government strong enough to protect the interests of the people, and a people strong enough and well enough informed to maintain its sovereign control over the government. In the truest sense, freedom cannot be bestowed, it must be achieved. Remember always that all of us, and you and I, especially, are descended from immigrants and revolutionists. We must especially beware of that small group of selfish men who would clip the wings of the American eagle in order to feather their own nests. There are many ways of going forward, but only one way of standing still. The test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those who have much, it is whether we provide enough for those who have too little. The only way to have a friend is to be one. The only way to make a man trustworthy is to trust him. Do what you can with what you have where you are. The school is the last expenditure upon which America should be willing to economize. A radical is a man with both feet planted firmly in the air. More than an end to war, we want an end to the beginnings of all wars. The truth is found when men are free to pursue it. The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. It isn't sufficient just to want, you've got to ask ourselves what you are going to do to get the things you want. We must scrupulously guard the civil rights and civil liberties of all citizens, whatever their background. We must remember that any oppression, any injustice, any hatred is a wedge designed to attack our civilization. Human kindness has never weakened the stamina or softened the fiber of a free people. A nation does not have to be cruel to be tough.
I have seen war. I have seen war on land and sea. I have seen blood running from the wounded. I have seen the dead in the mud. I have seen cities destroyed. I have seen children starving. I have seen the agony of mothers and wives. I hate war.
The point in history at which we stand is full of promise and danger. The world will either move forward toward unity and widely shared prosperity, or it will move apart. Let us never forget that government is ourselves, and not an alien power over us. We must lay hold of the fact that economic laws are not made by nature, they are made by human beings. The overwhelming majority of Americans are possessed of two great qualities: a sense of humor and a sense of proportion. The only sure bulwark of continuing liberty is a government strong enough to protect the interests of the people, and a people strong enough and well enough informed to maintain its sovereign control over the government. The only way to keep your health is to eat what you don't want, drink what you don't like, and do what you'd rather not. Courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the assessment that something else is more important than fear. The only defense against the world is a thorough knowledge of it. I'm not the smartest fellow in the world, but I can sure pick smart colleagues. When you get to the end of your rope, tie a knot and hang on. To reach a port, we must sail, not tie at anchor, sail, not drift. The test of our progress is not whether we add more to the abundance of those who have much, it is whether we provide enough for those who have too little. Be sincere, be brief, be seated. There is a mysterious cycle in human events. To some generations, much is given. Of other generations, much is expected. This generation of Americans has a rendezvous with destiny. We must scrupulously guard the civil rights and civil liberties of all our citizens, whatever their background. We must remember that any oppression, any injustice, any hatred is a wedge designed to attack our civilization. Repetition does not transform a lie into a truth. The only limit to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today.